Go Nagai: The History and Influence of Manga's Most Controversial Creator by Avner Khan. When people hear the term manga, most immediately think of popular shonen titles with colorful characters and lively stories, such as Naruto or One Piece perhaps. As popular as these titles are, the world of manga is filled with diverse tales that capture a wide array of audiences, with genres ranging from thriller to comedies. There's one creator, however, whose influence dominates numerous genres in manga, from science fiction to horror, and his name is none other than Go Nagai. Go Nagai has created dozens of critically acclaimed works that span numerous genres. His influence dominates the science fiction, horror, erotica, and fantasy genres specifically. In fact, he helped pioneer the ecchi, super robot, and magical girl subgenres as well, which are three giant subgenres in Japanese manga. His influence on manga as a whole is an important topic. Before I get into that, let's delve a bit more into history of this influential creator. Go Nagai was born in 1945 in the Ishiwaka prefecture of Wajima in Japan. As a young child, he and his family moved to Tokyo shortly after his father had died. While young, Nagai started experimenting with drawing manga, and he was influenced by the works of Gustave Doré and Osamu Tezuka, who are the creators of The Divine Comedy and Lost World, respectively. When in high school, Nagai suffered a near-death experience when he suffered severe diarrhea for 3 weeks. This made him want to pursue manga even more, as he realized that he may die, and he wanted to leave his mark on the world through manga. After recovering successfully, Nagai chose to focus on this art form. Even though his mother strongly opposed of his choices to pursue manga and he was rejected by numerous publishers, Nagai was eventually noticed by the weekly Shonen Sunday, where he was finally accepted into the studio of Shotaro Ishinomori. Now that we understand some of the roots of Nagai, let's analyze some of his works and their impacts on the world of manga. One of his initial trial works was a prototype for what would eventually become Kuro no Shis, or The Black Lion, which is about a ninja but with a sci-fi twist. Although Ishinomori praised the work, seeing its potential, he thought it lacked polish in numerous parts and that Nagai should improve a bit before releasing to general audiences. Nagai's first batch of pretty professional works were pretty much only short gag comedy mangas, with works such as Mikashi Polichiki. Gag comedies refer to mangas that are usually episodic and focus on a specific pun or situation per episode, usually comedy. This was until he launched his early success, Harinchi Gakuin. This work is considered to be the first modern erotic manga, as well as the first ecchi manga series. Ecchi manga refers to works that often feature sexual actions or playfulness throughout the novel. This work was extremely controversial at the time, as erotica manga was not yet prevalent, garnering protests from PTAs and other parent-led organizations. It also did not help that the manga often displayed graphic violence and rather gross humor elements. However, as time would go on, more and more manga would adopt erotic elements from works such as Harinchi Gakuin and other pioneering erotic works, eventually becoming a staple in modern-day manga. Although extremely popular, Nagai's works is similar to Harinchi Gakuin is Cutie Honey. This Cutie Honey follows a robot girl named Honey, who transforms into the titular heroine Cutie Honey to fight against various villains. It's actually considered a shonen manga, which is interesting since it features a female protagonist. For those of you who don't know, shonen refers to typically boys' action manga. In fact, Nagai claims that she is the first female protagonist in a shonen series. It is also one of his earlier influential works of the magic girl subgenre. The magic girl subgenre often features female protagonists who use their superhuman abilities and/or magic to save the day. This work of science fiction has spawned numerous other forms of medias, such as an anime series, manga spin-offs, and video games as well. Another work of Nagai's that has an enormous amount of impact is the Mazinger Z series. Featuring a giant mecha robot being piloted by a human passenger, Mazinger Z is one of the first series to do this trope, thus pioneering the super robot genre in the world of manga. Another influential super robot title created by Go Nagai is the Getter Robo series. Needless to say, there are countless manga titles that fall under the super robot genre, the most popular being Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's safe to say that these titles are a staple in the world of manga, and that they were initially introduced by none other than Go Nagai. Another successful yet controversial Nagai work is the famous Devilman series, which features a teenage boy gaining the ability to become a devil and fight other devils. Devilman is one of the Nagai's works that falls into more of the horror subgenre. An extremely popular manga, Devilman has sold over 50 million copies to this day. Its extreme violence was a target of numerous PTA protests. As you can see, the PTA is becoming quite familiar with Nagai and his works at this point. Devilman is so popular that it even spawns anime adaptations to this day, such as the hit Netflix series Devilman Crybaby. Although Nagai's works can be said to span numerous genres, he seems to have a common style and theme among many of them. Many of his works, from Horenchi Gakuen to Devilman, feature gritty, graphic violence, explicit nudity, and crude humor thrown into the mix as well. This being said, it is important to note that Nagai's works did become slightly darker in thematic elements over time. He started off with relatively lighter titles like Horenchi Gakuen, and then slowly transitioned to darker and more intense titles like Devilman. Since he introduced these works around 50 years ago, it was the first works that really brought these awkward and controversial themes into the spotlight of manga. He garnered protests and massive attention, and Nagai continued to produce works with this special twang of explicitness, and it turned out it paid off well, as his mature themes that he introduced are used commonly in various mangas to this day. Past manga itself, Go Nagai has also been influential in the actual production and monetization of manga as well, setting up practices that allow manga creators to obtain money for their rightfully created and derived works. After the massive success of Haranchi Gakuen as well as some of his other series, Go Nagai launched his own company with the help of his brothers. It was called Dynamic Planning, and it was mainly made to manage Nagai's relations and establish valid contracts for the rights to his works. Even though Nagai created numerous popular manga at this point that spawned other popular media, he received little to no royalties for his works that weren't directly his manga. This was a huge problem for Nagai, as many of his works spanned hit anime shows and spin-offs, which he had claimed no credit for, at least in terms of money. Dynamic Plannings required publishers sign valid contracts, and it was one of the earliest companies to follow this trend. As you can see, Go Nagai has even had an enormous impact on the way that manga is copyrighted in Japan. Although Nagai can be accredited for building his manga empire by himself, he did receive help and influence from other creators, and his works would most likely not be the same without these other people. His most obvious help came from the man who initially gave him the pedestal to step into the world of manga in the first place, Shotaro Ishinomori. Some of Ishinomori's works include Cyborg 009 and Super Sentai, which was eventually adapted into the hit Power Rangers series. Due to his dabbling in cyborg genres, Nagai's inspiration for the super robot genre likely came from him. Another important artist in Nagai's life was Ken Ishiwaka. He helped Nagai co-create the Getter Robo series, and he was cited as being Nagai's greatest friend and ally. Although Go Nagai may not be a household name in America, the influences that this creator has on the world of manga can be seen almost everywhere in the medium, especially in super robot, erotica, ecchi, and horror genres. Even other influential works in the world of manga, such as Berserk and Neon Genesis Evangelion, have been said to be inspired by Nagai's works. Even to this day, Go Nagai continues to work on manga, whether they be spin-off of his original hits or completely new works. His media continues to live on and are used as a source for inspiration of manga of almost all genres to this day.